time.
You mean turkey?
I'm sorry, turkey at one time, and I am expanding my line to have my own freeze-dried meats, and we got a bunch of dehydrates. Michael, I want you to do this. Send us an email or something, and I'll send you a six-pack of samples of the pouches to your home. And just put as per freeze-dry guy.
Thank you much.
Yeah, thank you, sir, and thank you for what you're doing.
Okay, our next question comes from Ray. Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like on the, you're saying to get either like this week's supply, the just in case supply. I'm just wondering on as far as storage space. I mean, how much storage space are we talking when a week or even like a year supply? I mean, how much storage space are we talking for like a family of 4?
Let's talk in terms of 1. That's the way my brain works. We'll multiply by 4. Depends on what kind of food you get. If you get primarily dehydrate, you're looking at about 12 cases of dehydrates and 3 or 4 cases of the freeze-dried meats. If you're going all freeze-dry, you could be looking at 25 plus cases. The footprint, I like to think of, you're looking in your closet. The footprint to put a year's supply of food for one person that was primarily dehydrate would be 2 feet across, 1.5 feet out, and about 8 cases high, which would be about less than 6 feet tall. Freeze-dry, all freeze-dry would be 3 feet across, 1 foot out, and about 6 feet tall. Multiply that by 4 for a family of 4. So about 3 feet across, foot out. It's very compact, and it does, by the way, retain its original size and its texture and all that, and color once the water hits it.
Well, that's about 18 cubic feet if I did my math real.
Sounds about right. Each case is approximately 1.1 cubic foot.
Okay, and to answer your question on the just-in-case units, because I have them, you can stack up a whole lot of them in one closet, I'll tell you that, but they won't, they're not going to take up much space in your trunk either. About the size of a case of water. They give you kind of a dimension, a little bit taller.
Very close, just a little bit bigger, but not much. You could drop that water inside of one of our empty boxes, and you have another inch or so to go. That's a good analogy.
Yeah, in an average trunk, average American trunk, you could get 4 cases in there and have a lot of room to spare, I would think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That help?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Okay. Operator, next caller, please.
Okay, we have Max. Go ahead, Max.
Yeah, my question is, you're talking about the freeze-dried. Can you use a vacuum sealer? Would that work as well?
You can, Max. In fact, some of the pouches in our just-in-cases are vacuum sealed. Some aren't. They use an oxygen absorber. You can make it. The thing is, if you're going to do your own food, or some people want to buy our food in bulk in the cans, break it down and vacuum seal it. You can save some good money by doing that. Regardless of what you do, any dried food, you want to make sure you've got a very good vacuum machine and a very good quality of vacuum bag, because some of the bags sold commercially for home use are pretty thin, and depending on what you're putting in there, you can poke holes in the bag and lose your vacuum.
Yeah, I found that to be true with like rice. I did it with rice for backpacking and for other storage, and over time, the plastic with the vacuum actually will stretch a little bit, and the little pointies on some of those rice, and others will poke through, and you lose your seal. And the moment you lose your seal, man, it goes pretty quick.
Right.
Now, the vacuum-packed bags we have, like for the just-in-case, they're not prone to that unless they're in a backpack being jostled around an awful lot.
Oh, even then, I've abused those things so much, Ron. Okay. So anyway. All right, back to the next question, please.
Okay, our next question comes from Michael in Texas. Go ahead, Michael.
Yes, what was the one method if not used will quickly ruin your stored food?
I'm sorry, say again, sir.
The question...
One method if not used will quickly ruin your stored food.
Very good question. Yes, it is the level of oxygen remaining. A residual oxygen, that's what kills your food, that in high heat. But that's why, again, the criteria we adhere to is a federal government criteria that was developed 50 years ago, roughly, of less than 2% residual oxygen. It's really less than 1%, but 2 is the spec that the government requires for anything that they purchase. If you adhere to that, and be honest, if you're using a home vacuum machine, you'll never achieve it. But with the commercial stuff we do, that's our standard.
The other part of that is on bulk food storage, pretty hard to get all the oxygen out and of like grains and other stuff. There's some things you can do. You want to describe a couple things you can do?
Well, if you're doing your grains at home, a nitrogen purge works pretty well, except it's pretty hard to gauge exactly what you're doing. A nitrogen purge is you shove a wand down into a bucket, say, full of wheat or something, and start squirting it. You don't really know how much oxygen you're taking out. A really good way to do it, it's an old method, works really well, is get yourself some dry ice from from the local butcher shop, and most of them will have it, or many will have it, a piece about the size of your thumb. Throw it in the bottom of the bucket, throw the rice or beans on top of it, lay the lid ajar, do not snap the lid down, and let it sit for about 24 to 36 hours, and it will purge out. It will lift the oxygen out just like water lifts oil. And then after that period of time, snap the lid down. But I repeat, do not snap the lid on initially, or you have wheat all over the front room, because it will build up pressure.
You know, right there, that is $1 million tip, guys. I mean, multi-millions of dollars worth of food is sitting around in buckets that people are going to open up someday, and it's going to be bad when you need it. So that's great if you're going to do some of your storm storage stuff. Try that technique for those dry, rices and beans and wheats and so on that supplement. But that's one of the other reasons why I take, my clients and get them this type of material from Freeze Dry Guy, because I know how it's commercially packed, and I don't have to worry about whether or not it's going to be good or not when I open it, or they open it, whether it be next week, next year, or the next decade. So, but anyway, that's a very valuable tip, and so many people don't know that, and they're going to be very, very upset, or anyway, it's going to hurt a lot of people not knowing how to properly prepare things. But that's the deal. Oxygen destroys. Okay, next.
Another thing, if I may, real quick.
Yeah.
People who've got food put aside, and I know a lot of you do out there, people are reluctant to go in and check it once in a while. I tell them, go back. How long have you had this thing? Well, I got this bucket of wheat 20 years ago, or a bucket of something. Go back and open something up. Check your product. If some brands of food you've made, even today, don't have good longevity, and I won't go into names. I can't do that. But check your product if it's something that's questionable, and you can call us and we can give you a little more information, but open up a can and see what it is. And some people say, I don't want to do that. I don't want to take a chance on ruining my food. Once you open it, eat the doggone thing. But if you got an old questionable supply of food, don't sit there like many people do and think, well, it'll probably be okay. This is a life preserver, or it's a parachute. Parachutes need to be repacked every 3 months just to make sure they work. And you need to check your food, not every 3 months, but once a year, pop open a can or two, especially things like green beans and tomatoes. They are high acidic, and if they weren't properly packed, removing the oxygen in a proper fashion to the degree it needs to be, they will go bad.
Wow. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. We are pretty close to out of time here. Do you think we probably have time to take one more question? Operator, one last question, please.
Okay. Our last question, then, is going to come from Dave. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Hi, Gene. Hi, Ron. I appreciate you guys doing this. Quick question. In top 5 in order, the food, the water, what would be the next 3 things to have prepared or set aside? Security
comes first over anything. There's
okay.
In survival, teaching survival, there's a rule of 3 or a rule of 4, depending on how you determine it. 3 minutes without air, you're dead. 3 minutes, or I should say, 3 days without water and 3 weeks without food, you're dead. 3 seconds without security, you're dead. So security, food, water. Security includes everything to protect yourself, of course. What's that? 4 things? 3. What am I trying to say here? You want to be able to. My mind was blank. You need shelter. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so but your protection as well, all those things that fall under security?
That's the first thing, yes, absolutely. Like I say, secure your perimeter in all times, especially in dangerous times. But the alternate means to, again, stay warm, a good sleeping bag, of course, your pack. If your electricity's turned off, if you lose your power, a way to stay warm and stay dry. Those come, I'd say that's probably the first 3 are the crucial ones. The first 4 to include shelter.
Okay, so I'm gonna recap that because that got a little bit muddled. But what I liked what you said was